Welcome to the Airgun Show, brought to you by Airgun World magazine. You can find magazine subscription deals and details in the show description. Now, in this week's episode, I'm taking a look at a truly awesome PCP. But before that, I'm back on the bunnies. Right, I'm out on the rabbits this evening. Now, they're causing a fair amount of damage here with their burrowing. It's damaging banks, but also you may be able to see behind me there are a lot of grassy pathways around this site. There's a lot of public access here, and the landowner obviously also doesn't want the liability of somebody turning over an ankle and injuring themselves. I've shot here a few times recently. Haven't done badly. The rabbits are starting to wise up a bit though, so whereas previously I've been shooting them at dusk and around sunset, what I'm doing now is turning up as the light is beginning to fade with the intention of shooting them under the cover of darkness when I hope they'll be a little bit more confident. That said, there's still a chance of shooting possibly one or two before it gets dark. We've already shot a little bit about the equipment that I'll be using this evening, but as we often do, we'll tack that onto the end so we can get straight into the action now. I'm going to find a spot to get myself settled in and we'll get onto those rabbits. Well, that was the first one. Now you may have noticed in the recorded footage that I did actually use the Alpex's laser rangefinder for that one. It's about 23 meters, so it needed a touch of hold under with this setup. Really nice clean kill. Pellet found the exact mark where I wanted to strike that rabbit. We've actually targeted a different spot than where I first thought we'd be. We've moved back into the private gardens, and this is actually the wedding venue where we shot our previous rabbit shooting session. We're very close to that spot, just targeting it from a slightly different angle this evening. If you can hear a noise, like a rushing sound, there's a river flows through this site and we're very close to a weir. It's making a lot of noise, but the good news is that that ambient noise from the roar of that water will help to mask the noises that we're making. Another one at a nice, comfortable range there. Now, it's quite nice short cut grass in front of me. I've tucked away into this rough corner just for a bit of cover. But I've only set up about 20 metres from the hedgerow that the rabbits are emerging from here. Now that sounds pretty close, and it is, but what it means is that any rabbits that come out either sort of down the hedgerow to the left or down to the right, there's still a good chance that they're within range with this sub 12 setup. So that is my reasoning for being relatively close to that main area. I'm pretty sure that rabbit knew we were here. It looked very alert, and it had actually turned around in between me putting down the thermal monocular and moving on to the scope. Now, I didn't actually bother to range that one because it was pretty close to where the others have been. Wow, pellet struck that one so hard that it flipped it into a cartwheel and it almost momentarily disappeared out of the top of the sight picture. It was another close one, and what I hadn't actually noticed when I was looking through the spotter, that there was another smaller rabbit behind it. Now, obviously it's bolted off, and we will be back for that one another time if it doesn't come back out tonight. That was an even closer one, and I didn't need to range it because I know from previous experience that sign that it was stood by is about 15 metres away. Now that is pretty much bang on the initial zero with this setup, so no holdover or hold under required for that shot. Wow, another nice clean kill there, and I think that takes us up to 7 rabbits for this evening. And I'm going to make that the last one, mostly because it's starting to get really late, and that's one of the snags with night shooting at this time of year when it takes so long to get properly dark. But as I think I mentioned previously, this wasn't the area that I was initially planning to shoot tonight. We've moved back very close to where we were before, and this is the area where the lawns are kept very tidy for private functions, and even more concern about those excavations causing a hazard to guests here. So there's that reason for pest control, but also these rabbits are destined for the pot, so I am delighted about that. It's gone well, and I think it proves again just how important it is to keep still and quiet. I've done nothing more complicated than that this evening, and had some really good shooting. So yeah, really pleased with how it's gone, and we'll leave you now with that roundup of the kit that we shot earlier on. Right, so here is the kit that you will have seen me using on tonight's rabbit shooting session. The gun is the Walther RM8 UC. I've got to admit, I've been impressed with this gun since the first time I clapped eyes on it. It's sensibly priced, it's really tough, and most importantly, it's accurate. It's multi-shot PCP, and when you consider those qualities, you really can't ask a lot more from an airgun than that. This one, sub 12 foot-pound, 177 caliber, and should be all the gun that I need for this kind of shooting. The optic is the Hikmicro Alpex 4K LRF. Now that LRF stands for laser rangefinder. That's the significant feature on this day and night scope, is the fact that you can quick ping, you've got an accurate gauge of the range to your target, so you can apply hold over and hold under accordingly. It's packed with other features, video recording, numerous reticle profiles, numerous reticle styles. Far too much to go through here. As ever, I've got the scope held on with Sports Match scope mounts. I've also been using the Hikmicro Lynx thermal spotter. Now, I actually didn't really embrace thermal optics until just a couple of years ago, but they are an absolute game changer. Set on low magnification, so you've got a really wide field of view, it just makes it almost impossible to spot your quarry's heat signature. Not just at night either, they can also be really handy by day. Like the Alpex, it's absolutely packed with features. Far too much for me to go through at the moment, so if you want to find out more about either of these optics, do take a look at the Scott Country website. Ammo wise, I have paired the RM8 with QYS domed pellets. It's the heavier 9.56 grain version. Really nice ammo, shoots well through quite a few of my guns actually, particularly this one, so if you're considering pellets to try out in your airgun, they're certainly worth a try. Now finally, I don't often talk a great deal about the clothing that I choose to wear, but I've actually been given this jacket. It's made by Rovins, and I've been given it to try out, and the fabric is actually impregnated with an odourless tick repellent, so I think it discourages other insects too, but apparently ticks just will not want to go near it, and this repellent can withstand something like 80 cycles through a washing machine. So God, that's more washes than my shooting clothes get in probably 100 years. Joking aside though, ticks and Lyme disease are not to be taken lightly. I think there are something like 8,000 cases of Lyme disease each year in the UK alone. One of my cousins actually contracted Lyme disease a long time ago now, but it can be absolutely devastating. So anything that you can do to keep ticks at bay has to be a good thing, and I'll be really interested to see how it goes with this jacket, particularly when I'm doing this kind of shooting. I'm lying on the ground on my belly. There are a lot of deer in this part of the world. It's just the kind of place that you're likely to pick up a tick. So as I said, that's the gear and the clothing that I will have been using this evening, and hopefully I've had an opportunity to show you doing it, what it should be doing on those rabbits. A really enjoyable evening on the rabbits there, and I'm sure that the sharp-eyed among you will realise that I meant a thermal spotter makes it virtually impossible to miss your quarry, not spot it. Anyway, next up I'm taking a look at a phenomenal mechanical PCP from Daystate. Right, well, the airgun I have here has been around for a few years, but I still think it looks absolutely amazing. It's the Daystate Wolverine R in its C-type or cylinder guise. Now, this is the grey laminate stock version, and it retails for £1,683. Now, the Wolverine is sometimes overshadowed by its electronic stablemates, but it is a proper supergun in its own right. There is a walnut stock option, but I've got to say I really like this laminate handle. Now, laminates do tend to add a bit more weight, and this version weighs 3.8 kilos unscoped. Lengthwise, it's 96 centimeters from muzzle to butt before you fit a silencer. Now, despite looking quite a chunky airgun, the Wolverine actually handles incredibly well, and that is testament to its excellent balance and the design of this thumbhole stock. The front section of the Wolverine C stock is made from a tough black polymer which incorporates a Picatinny accessory rail. Now, the laminate section behind that has stippled grooves which sweep back towards the trigger guard, behind which sits a brilliantly sculpted pistol grip. Now, that is also stippled and incorporates thumb shelves, so if you don't want to shoot thumb round using the thumb hole, you can also shoot thumb up. The cheek piece has a high comb which makes for exceptionally good eye scope alignment, and the butt pad is adjustable both for height and angle. Now, that angle adjustment may not sound like a very big deal, but being able to adjust the angle of the butt of the gun enables you to put some cast into the handle, and that makes this ambidextrous stock feel much more like a dedicated left or right-hander, depending on your preference. The exterior metalwork has a very neat black anodized finish, and this gun's engineering looks remarkably tidy in every aspect. Now, scope mounting is via a dovetail rail which actually spans the magazine, so you need to ensure that you have sufficiently high scope mounts in order to straddle it. Now, the total clamping space you get there is about 18 centimeters. Now, there's a 43 centimeter barrel, and that sits inside a relatively chunky shroud which does provide some sound suppression. Now, it also has a 1/2 inch UNF thread, and I've actually fitted a 0 dB silencer which has made this gun whisper quiet. The Wolverine runs Daystate's excellent self-indexing magazine and also comes supplied with a single shot tray. Now, this gun is a 177 caliber model, and that magazine has a 13 shot capacity. Now, other caliber options include 22, .25 and .30. Now, cocking and loading is taken care of by a side lever action which can be factory reversed for left-handers. Now, positioned at the rear of the action, it features a drop-down handle and is very, very smooth to operate. The boffins at Daystate have done a fantastic job with this mechanism, and it really does work like clockwork. A decent trigger should be an expectation at the Wolverine's price point, and this one is excellent. The match type blade is adjustable for length of pull, height and angle, so you can set it up exactly to your liking. Now the two-stage mechanism is also adjustable for length and weight. However, Daystate's engineers have set this one up to absolute perfection. First stage weight and travel feels spot on to me, and then there's an obvious stop before a crisp and absolutely creep-free second stage break. The safety catch takes the form of a simple but very effective switch at the rear of the action. Now safely away from the trigger, but still very conveniently positioned to operate with your thumb. It switches across to the left for the safe position, and then you simply flick it back across to the right when you're ready to take the shot. The cylinder version of the Wolverine is only available at sub 12 foot-pounds power. However, the bottle version is capable of muzzle energy in excess of 60 foot-pounds. Now, this gun is equipped with a Huma regulator to optimize consistency, and sure enough, this 177 caliber test gun running on Daystate Rangemaster Sovereign pellets straight from the tin was churning out 11.5 foot-pounds with consistency remaining within 4 feet per second over a string of 10 shots. Now, regulator pressure is displayed on the right-hand gauge on the left side of the stock. The one next to it on the left shows overall pressure in the main cylinder. Maximum fill pressure is 230 bar, and from that the review gun is returning about 200 shots, which is pretty good for a cylinder gun. Now Daystate states 250 shots for 22 caliber and as many as 600 if you go for the B-type bottle version. Now when it is time to refill, simply remove the magnetic cap which covers the inlet in the belly of the stock, and then couple up with the supplied Foster connector. The Daystate Wolverine is a serious shooting machine, so it deserves to be paired with decent ammo and a decent optic. Now, as I said, I've been running it on Daystate Rangemaster Sovereign pellets, and I've also paired it with my trusty MTC King Cobra scope. Do excuse the tape on the ocular lens, that's what I've been using to get a really good bite with my scope camera. However, with this setup, this gun has been stacking pellets on top of each other at 20 meters and is comfortably single-holing at 30 meters. At 40 meters, it's still easily capable of thumbnail-sized groups when shooting from a bench. This is a match-accurate airgun which can really cut it in the hunting field and also happens to be great fun to shoot. In my opinion, the Wolverine could be a great option for shooters who want to splash out on a lavish airgun but don't want to embrace the technicalities of an electronic Daystate. This rifle really does prove that the British gunmaker is also at the top of its game when it comes to mechanical actions. The Wolverine's level of refinement really does have to be experienced to be believed. Now, it isn't cheap, but you can certainly see where your money is going on this remarkable Daystate. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for in this week's episode, but as ever, I'll be back again with more in 2 weeks' time. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, and do also check out those subscription deals that we have for Airgun World magazine. You can find a link to that in the show description. There you will also find a link where you can sign up for the Airgun World newsletter, which will keep you bang up to date with everything going on the airgun scene. Remember also to stay tuned on this channel for the Airgun World podcast. Now, as I said, I'm back again in a fortnight. In the meantime, enjoy your shooting and stay safe.